Hello, and welcome to Dying Light SafeHouse. In these and hopeful subsequent videos, I will be looking into the pros and the cons of the SafeHouse within the game from the real-world perspective, because some of them are a bit, well, shit. And I hope and I will make a discerned effort on making them more in the real world than in the game, where any Tom, Dick or Harry could just waltz in unchecked. I will start on one that's kind of northeast-ish on the map, quite a way out of the usual playing area and the mission part of the map, although you do find it from one of the missions, so ignore everything I just said. The SafeHouse is located quite high up in a tunnel set back into the rocky formation, as most tunnels kind of would be. Leading out of the tunnels what appears to be an unfinished road, leading out back around to the same road. The isolation on the height probably one of its best features of this SafeHouse. You can observe your surroundings and foresee any incoming raiders or the undead. The lower deck, as I like to call it, even though it's not a ship, shut your ignorant face hole, most of the lower deck is enveloped in what looks like steel corrugated fencing, with an entrance gate of chain link fencing, which this game seems to love and treats it like 7-inch reinforced concrete that has magic powers in some safe houses, but those will come later. That corrugated steel fence is ideal for that non-line of sight for any zomboners to not give you a love bite. And for those climby, shouty, runny, annoying ones, there is some obligatory barbed wire which runs the entirety of the fence for that added FU to those horrible, climby, shouty, running, annoying zombies. The corrugated fencing is bedded into a large concrete footing, or whatever it's called, I'm not a fucking builder, which is going to give the fence a lot more cred on the street with his home is fence 'em in and dack to pave. Oh my god, why? Also, another bonus in this fence off area is it has large shipping containers that could be locked up tight to store supplies or even sleeping areas for that extra security at night from the dreaded face things. What are they called? If you had the manpower or other machinery strong enough, you could potentially move the containers around to your own behest, to utilise them even more so for accessibility and functionality. Tunnel area is, well, a tunnel that's just collapsed in on itself for reasons unknown, which is why it would be a good place to set up, as you know that the bad guys are only coming from one direction.
That's what she said!
I don't mean the band. Ooh, gross. The tunnel does have a door off it, which in the game you could not access, but it probably would not take a lot to crack open to see what's behind it. Possibly electrical access, emergency exit, could be possible another room for storage or a sort of panic room if needed. It does appear to be a power supply to the tunnel, and there is also a few generators in the lower deck that could be utilised along with jerry cans with possible fuel or the means to contain it. So lighting and other means are available, which makes this place pretty dope in the House of Safe. But wait, now for the poopy pants. There is a few things wrong with this place that can be addressed and fixed, and others not so much, but there is ways around them. At the very back of the compound / lower deck is a whacking great hole in the concrete barrier under the fence. Some naughty zombos have been on a concrete diet, obviously. Could have a neon sign on this saying, "And welcome one and welcome all!" Another stinky place is the entrance gate, and a little further on is the chain link fencing, and not the posh corrugated stuff. Go past Grampy's old shed and round the corner and there is more fence, all see-through and ready for some zombies to see you and fall in love. The tunnel is right underneath a hill. Suppose if it wasn't, it wouldn't be a tunnel. This being high ground, it's open to trespassers, i.e. zombies and raiders coming over the top and effing my shiz up. And to the right hand side of the tunnel facing out is a very climbable rock formation for raiders to climb up. The zombies would just leap from the high ground and hope for the best, I would imagine. Forward thinkers, you see. Most of the higher sided rocky areas would have to be negotiated carefully by any unwanted people, which gives time to be spotted and taken out. And the zombies, well, half rotten, taking the drop onto their head. Even a zombie may not work away. The left hand side is a lot lower and a bit more manageable in some respects. All that being laid bare, here's what we could do. There is so much resources in the area, and I mean an absolute ton of it. Piles of timber in the centre and around the back of one of the shipping containers of the lower deck. At least 22 stacks of concrete blocks. Cement bags, how many you ask?
All of them, I think.
Concrete slabs of some description, large cylindrical concrete, few sets of steel barrels, seeming unknown contents of crates that could hold delights, some sort of plastic barrels for storing water. Oh wait, never mind. Steel odds and sods, I guess, from the manufacturer of the bridge. But first things first, it would be the line of sight problem with the chain link. Hello over here, see-through fence.
Piles of wood that we saw earlier seem to be planks of a sort.
So putting them together in the overlap fashion lengthways like you would a normal fence, and find some way of either attaching it to the fence or putting them in the ground tight to the chain link fence may take some doing depending on what tools and fixings you had. But I'm sure there'd be something lying around, as people were at some point working here because it technically was a building site. Although if it was in the UK, most of the time they probably sat around drinking tea all day, pointing a lot, hence why they got eaten alive, and most of them appear to be in a pile. Once you've got through the onslaught of wood and fence, the gaping hole at the back needs to be filled with something big and hard. The concrete block and cement have to step up. Obviously cement / muck / mortar, whatever you want to call it, needs to be set. If you lay these bricks like a Muppet Plum Wally bag that even a 90-year-old with chronic arthritis, 2 hip replacements and 1 leg could knock down, there's just no point. Make it so even a tank could not break it down. Fingers crossed it's sealed. Something I failed to address earlier was the actual getting into the tunnel area from the lower deck, which could be a problem if you were with children or anyone not capable of climbing. There is a way around this. The containers are already laid out in a fashion like stairs, so just a little bit of thought. Move these cement bags and build some stairs here. Once we're here, it's just a short walk and then build again using the wood left over from the fence covering. This wood is not really that ideal for this, but there is a lot of things in the area for reinforcing it. Once these are done and you're on top, the same again with the wood, and just build bridges across the gaps and you're home free. If the wood fails, just use these. Should have said that to start with, really. Would have been quicker. The tunnel is a whacking great hole in rock basically, so it's so open to the elements that it's slightly unnerving. Simply build a wall. You have enough blocks to build the Great Wall of China over again. Saying that, the rough estimation, I counted 22 stacks of blocks with 14 blocks in each layer and 4 layers in each stack, which would make each stack 56 blocks per stack, and altogether combining the 22 stacks that would make 1,232 blocks. And as I said in the brackets earlier, that's not counting the loose ones, so it'd be closer to maybe 1,270, maybe. I'm not sure that it would reach the top of the tunnel, and again have to be built carefully and in sections, being quite a large area for the cement to go off. But this is where a lot of these steel structures would come in handy for the reinforcement of the wall. Maybe just building sections would be better than nothing at all. The cylindrical concrete would be an arse to move, but it would make a good barrier if the blocks weren't enough. Either side of the tunnel is hard to defend, especially the right side, as it's very climbable, but maintaining that line of sight is key to not needing any barriers. But in all honesty, putting up anything left over that makes it more difficult to climb up and or even slow someone down is better than nothing at all. But that's why the wall is the most important thing, as the fallback may be the most important thing to survive. But being a huge contradiction to what I said at the beginning of the video, this place is its own worst enemy, as the location and open area like SafeHouse, even after rectification, would still likely be bent over and taken roughly from behind without consent. But with all the resources, it will become something better than it was. I'm sure there is someone with better know-how who can make this an awesome SafeHouse. But in all its potential, for me, it's just not easy to fortify and protect. Great for a large group, but when it's likely to attract attention, the wrong kind, the only way you could do this SafeHouse would be with a large group, not a small one, as the rectification would take so long as there would be no point in the first place. So as great as this place would be, I'm only going to give this a rating of 6 out of 10. I'm sure I've missed things that could be utilised, but hey, I hope you enjoyed watching. Drop a like, subscribe, comment. Next time I'm doing a small SafeHouse. Sheesh!